Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I'm going to start by telling you a drop about the company, and then I will hand it over to the speakers. So we are hosting this today. My name is Gershon Margolis. I'm the founder of Imperial Advisory Outsourced CFOs. We're an outsourced CFO and CFO advisory firm. So we work with companies that don't have CFOs, as well as companies that do have CFOs, where we kind of advise the CFO. And if there's no CFO, then we are the CFO. We work with companies across industries, but one of the people who joined our team not too long ago is Buddy Blattner, whose career has been focused on manufacturing and distribution. He will be one of our speakers today. In addition to Buddy, we are joined by Bob, who is my partner at Imperial Advisory, as well as Aris, who I think Aris is on here. He's another one of our CFOs, and Haley, who helped us put all this together. So anyway, we're glad you're all able to come. We hope it's going to be a very interesting presentation. The order is going to be, we're going to have three speakers. It's going to be Danny Kaplan, followed by John Cosgrove, followed by Buddy, our CFO. Danny and John are both friends of the firm, and we are so happy to have them joining us today. They've both been in this industry of warehousing and distribution for many years, and looking forward to getting all of their insights. Well, both of them plus Buddy, obviously. We're looking to getting insights from all three of them, and looking forward to getting to know you all. At the end, we'll have a brief Q&A session. Anyway, without further ado, Danny, go ahead. Danny, you probably have to unmute yourself.
Here we go. I'm sorry, I was on mute. My presentation will be the future of supply chain software and inventory shortage, which are affecting all of us today in quite a severe way. This is today's reality. Supermarket has shelves, parents trying to find bicycle cannot find it, and it's a big transition. One of the side effects that we see today is shortage of inventory. I spoke to an IT person, I spoke to an intellectual property lawyer, and I got the same stories. They cannot find PCs. They're just the tip of the iceberg. I think we're going to face to a more situation story. And as we progress, I will show you the reason for it. Next screen, Haley. This is an outdated warehouse with outdated inventory. Prior to the COVID-19, business owners said, why buy software? It's expensive, require training people, the cost of doing business, it doesn't matter. I will live with it. It worked for 30 years, I will continue to it. The COVID-19 turned it whole thing upside down. Next thing, Haley. This is today's reality of outdated software. While it's collected dust, the inventory is borrowed money to finance. That was prior to COVID. But today, we look at a different situation. Bank managers told me that if they ask the client for inventory report, and it tells them, it will take me 1 week to get your report, they cut the line of credit. They tell me I would rather lose my client than lose my job. Because if the client goes out of business, we own the inventory and we're in the money business, not the inventory business. Insurance company will raise your premium because if you have a claim, they don't press your number. And an M&A person told me when the company is sold, the buyer does not trust the number and the seller is losing money. Next screen, Holly, please. This is automated warehouse, modern warehouse. Inventory comes in, the barcode gets scanned, computers are record updated, and company now wide, everybody knows about it. You ship the open orders off the warehouse dock with the invoice. In today's reality, people pay the invoice late. So the order coming, the invoice coming with the order cuts the receivable cycle. Instead of the accounting sending it out and your post office, the client have it right away. By not putting the inventory in the warehouse and picking it up, you save labor cost. And the warehouse personnel are directed by radio frequency guns where to put the unshipped inventory so it doesn't get lost. The gun tells them at what location to go. Location 10A, bin 10B, pick up this inventory. They can pick up the wrong inventory, they cannot pick up the wrong quantity. One person packs and verifies the inventory, unlike an automated warehouse where two people do it. Labor cost shipping. On a weekly basis, you check the warehouse location. So if inventory found in the location that should not be there, the location is locked up and a total cycle count takes place. That's eliminate the need to close the warehouse at the end of the year and take inventory. If the bank asks you for your inventory, tell him, give me 5 minutes, I will turn it to inventory, to a spreadsheet and email to you. The bank will love you. And the benefit of it, there is no need to close the warehouse anymore at the end of the year, physical inventory, or end of the quarter, because it's all real-time information now. Next screen, Harley. This is accurate inventory with modern software. 99%, that's customer testimonial. 99% accuracy. When the truck driver delivers the inventory to the customer, right then and there, it gets the customer signature. And if the customer rejects anything, the driver updates it and updates the host in real time. 24/7 e-cameras with a client that has 100 stores, Sid Harvey, nationwide, that updates that all on the cloud into the host in Long Island. Lot number, that's a serious issue for the food industry. Tyson Food is a good example. If you have contaminated raisin, it can end up in 50 items. You have to know who got it, bring it back, destroy it, and prove to the FDA. You cannot do it, you have a major lawsuit. The serial number is a famous story of the airbag and the seat belt. You have to know who got it, bring it, replace it, and destroy it. Next, Harley, please. This is today's reality, and that's why we have inventory shortage. Freight costs are going through the sky. Before the COVID started, it cost $1,500, container cost $1,500. Today is $8,000. A freight forwarding person told me she can't guarantee the price until the inventory is actually delivered, because it's fluid and it's impossible to know what the price is. So what you need to do, what CEOs need to do now, which products are most profitable and what quantity to order. And then the second issue is which customer to allocate to. You have to run from Peter to pay Paul, because you don't want to end up with just servicing your big customer and not servicing the other customer, and then have the Sears Roebuck story. If a major company drop you like Amazon, you have an issue. Next, Harley, please. This is today's reality with real time. Information is real time. What does the customer buy? We don't go to shopping mall anymore, so our buying trend changed. We buy PCs, we buy electronics, even though we have a difficult time finding it. So you have to know what product should be purchased, what you have in stock, how much you allocate against pending orders, and who to buy it from. But buying from the vendor reliability is an important issue, because if it doesn't deliver on time, order gets canceled and production comes to a standstill. Customer analysis. If the customer sales drop by 30%, number one, check his financials, how much he owes you. Number, check his receivable. Number, check his financials. He might go out of business and you might get stuck with the receivable. So you either put him on credit hold or COD. And the most important thing, any information on the system can be done onto a spreadsheet and sent to either the bank or the insurance within a few minutes. Makes them very happy. And the buyer who buys the company, it posts the report now, and you get more value for the company. Next, Holly. This is the future of supply chain. The COVID-19 disrupted the whole industry. If you check Google, Gartner Group and Harvard Business School have 5 pages. Manufacturing is leaving China. It's a de facto. And what's happening now is China cut a deal with Iran. Iran will supply China oil, and China will supply Iran inventory technology because they see the handwriting on the wall. What's happening is China had cheap labor cost, but with the freight accelerating now, it's not so affordable now. The manufacturing moved to USA, Canada, Mexico, and until it settles, we're going to have the supply chain issue. So you must know what you have in the warehouse, what open order you have, what you shipped, who to order from, and how much to order. Next, Holly, please. This is a brand new issue we are facing now. The Suez Canal was the tip of the iceberg. If the port has culvert, the ship cannot come into port. If the ship has culvert, like the aircraft carrier, if you don't come to the USA. In China, like in the USA, planes were closed. Long-term shoremen at the port are sick, so the ships are lining now in line coming in. The New York Times has an article, there's a big line of ships. The truckers are sick, it's resulting in warehouse in the port overstacked, and containers are not being shipped now. That's resulting in multi-level effect now, which is part of the reason why we have the shortage today. Next, Holly, please. That's what we have to offer, or the company represent. Manage your inventory in environments where regional, national, and global are under threat. Next, Holly, please. This is the offer. This is what we offer. Manufacturing, distribution, food, warehouse automation, and financial for the mid-market. And this is return on investment of some customers. The janitorial supply went from $400 million to $1 billion. Return on investment over $1 million. Food distributor, they use a headset because with produce, there is no barcode. So they pick up 100 tomatoes, 500 cucumbers. Pet supply using a smartphone instead of the conventional radio frequency gun. The smartphone costs $400, the RF gun costs $2,000, large supply. That's the medical supply president accuracy. Air conditioning supply, 100 stores nationwide running on e-cameras. And a food manufacturer, that's his testimonial. Next, Holly, please. I want to thank you for seeing my presentation. I hope you find it informative. I guess you are next, John.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, I want to thank Gershon for the opportunity and Imperial Advisory to present here today. I also want to thank my esteemed colleagues, Danny Kaplan and Buddy Blattner, for their input in today's webinar. I'm sure you will see that together we have some great synergy. Danny provides the intelligence and we provide the hardware that drives the supply chain. My company, Atlantic Handling Systems, is a system integrator in the material handling industry. We specialize in the design, supply, install, and service of conveyor and storage systems. AHS is a division of Mayberry Material Handling out of East Longmeadow, Massachusetts. Together, we are one of the largest and most successful material handling companies in the Northeast. I personally have over 40 years experience in the industry and have served as the president of the Material Handling Equipment Dealers Association, which is a nationwide trade organization. I have also served as the fire chief in my hometown of Fair Lawn, New Jersey, and served 5 terms as the mayor of Fair Lawn. I just recently didn't run for re-election. I'm a recovering politician, so to speak. Next slide. Atlantic Handling Systems has the capabilities to design, install, and train your employees on the use of new technology and automation. We have witnessed the rapid growth of e-commerce and how that has changed the supply chain and distribution. Today, companies have to repurpose their warehouses to meet today's growing needs. Instead of shipping pallets and/or cases of goods, distributors are now forced to ship eaches. This is a new dynamic that has created the need for change in their operation. Never before have we witnessed such a rapid transformation in our industry. In order to meet the ever-growing demands, your employees will need the right equipment, technology, and automation to stay competitive and profitable. Unfortunately, many of our customers are faced with the reality that they either have to change or die. One of the most important first steps to reaching your full potential and deliver your best return on investment is to get organized. We have a before and after shot of a warehouse that is totally disorganized. This slide shows the after effect of proper warehouse design and allocation of space. This is where Danny's warehouse management system can really help. Once we get the most efficient layout for your storage system, the WMS can help to keep it organized and keep you at proper inventory levels. The product you see pictured here is pallet racking, which is widely used in storage systems. I just want to speak to what Danny was speaking about the supply chain. Currently, there is a shortage of steel needed to make this type racking. This has caused prices on racking to rise 30 to 50%. The steel market is so volatile right now that our manufacturers only give us pricing for 5 days. And Gershon was speaking this morning that there was some economic news that is going to even make the steel industry more volatile. We all realize that the 80-20 rule is pretty constant throughout the distribution industry. That means that you do 80% of your business with 20% of your product. Proper inventory management is essential if you wish to attain a higher level of productivity. The way to increasing your profitability and productivity is by using all of the cube in your warehouse and automating it, which means more conveyor type systems and also robotics. We've been using robotics recently, even in picking applications, to help sort on a lot of e-commerce applications. According to Modern Material Handling magazine, 2/3 of all companies plan to add some type of automation to their distribution center over the next year. Many companies understand that they must automate to keep up with customers' demands. Adding a conveyor system can help alleviate this by bringing the goods directly to the picker and then transport them to shipping. This type of automation can deliver a huge return on investment and increase order accuracy. A simple addition of adding a barcode to items can help you use the height of your building. Here you see a picker on a man-on-board order picker, probably 25 to 30 feet in the air. He's using a handheld scanner that Danny talked about, that the cost is about $2,000, and he can pick orders at that height, place them on a pallet and bring them down. A high bay pick module constructed a pallet rack with full rack within the module, and a tri-width conveyor is a good way to process orders. It's especially good for e-commerce orders. The pick module can be built with many accessories: pick the light, voice activated picking, inline scale to weigh boxes on the fly, automatic tape sealer, print and apply applicator that can apply UCC 128 labels for shipping. PIC modules are widely used and are very, very versatile. And in the e-commerce world, we're finding more and more companies are switching to them, and we can go high and build various levels, sometimes 3 to 4 levels high. At Atlantic Handling, we have extensive knowledge of designing and installing conveyor systems, all types of conveyor systems in different places, manufacturers, food, beverage, so on and so forth. Pharmaceuticals is also a field that we have done a lot of work in. When orders have been picked, checked, packed, sealed, and weighed, they're sent to shipping. Here you see a picture of a high-speed sortation loop that can sort up to 200 cases per minute. The product is scanned by a bidirectional scanner and then sent down the lane of whatever carrier has been designated. These cases are either palletized or live loaded by an extendable conveyor into a truck. I've included this slide just to show you how we can provide food-grade conveyor as pictured here. As you can see, the plastic belt and stainless steel supports are conducive to a washdown area, and many food companies need that type of conveyor system. If you need to get a hold of me, here's my contact information. Today, I tried to give you a broad view of what's available to try and help you increase your productivity and make you more efficient and increase your company's profits. I look forward to hearing from you and hope that you choose Atlantic Handling Systems to help you with all your design and automation for your material handling system in the future. We do all design for free. We just hope that you buy the equipment from us. Next, I'm going to turn this over to Buddy, who's going to finish up the program. Thank you.
Well, good late morning to all of you. I'm going to talk about the fundamentals of overseas sourcing from the CFO's perspective, which means that that's the perspective that's the best interest of the firm. Everybody on the team, the CEO, the COO, the VP of supply chain, the sourcing manager, the quality manager, and the inspectors all must understand and agree on this strategy. The cost of quality is the most important thing. Haley, next slide, please. That's me. I'm Buddy Blattner. I've been working in overseas sourcing since my first trip to the United Kingdom in the late 1980s. I've bought from Europe, Japan, China, Korea, and Taiwan. It's been a learning experience that culminated in my ownership of a company that imported nearly 1 billion small parts a year from Asia. Next slide, please. When I was a young manager, my boss was helping me learn how to price. I'd often say to him when I wanted him to approve a price, the customer wants this price, our best product, and they want to ship it today. He'd say, price, quality, and service. Pick 2. There was a time not long ago where we thought we could get all 3, but it's basically not true. Overseas products can be the best of quality. Look at your iPhone or your Galaxy, or they can be sunglasses that you purchase at Walgreens for $2.99. If you want something fast from overseas, buy an airline ticket. Price, quality, and service. Pick 2. Next slide, please. Here are the things that you should know. You can't go to a trade show, point at a product, get a quote, place a PO, get a ship date, and have it arrive on time and have it be right. If you do that, and it does happen, it's a miracle. You must perform due diligence. I know there's at least one lawyer on the call, so this is not a legal definition of due diligence. Here's mine. Reasonable steps taken by a person in order to satisfy a requirement, especially in buying or selling something.
Let's watch a minute.
That's this that you see on the screen is best practice. People in overseas markets are good by nature. They want to do business with you, but you are required to trust, but verify that they are going to support you. You need to visit the country and the factories where your products are going to be made, and you need to establish the appropriate communications channels with those vendors. Make sure you hire the most experienced freight forwarders and custom brokers that you can afford. The better they are, the more expensive they are. And overseas suppliers tend to exaggerate their capabilities. It's not a bad thing, it's just something that you should know. Next slide, please. Okay, first things first, establish a relationship, pick a vendor, and make friends with them. Figure out how they're going to sell you. And there are 3 ways that they might potentially sell you. 1, they might let you buy direct from the factory. It doesn't happen all the time, but there are ways to buy direct from the factory. There are also import agents. These have been designated by the factory, or they may just be distributors that are stateside who buy from the factory, bring the goods in, store them on their floor, and sell them to you. Or there are overseas vendors who will not sell you directly, but they will designate an export firm to sell to you. Those are the 3 ways that you can buy. Be prepared that all of them don't work the same way. Next slide, please. I don't like the word partnership, but if you're going to sell overseas products to your customers, this is at least a relationship, a meaningful relationship. So in order to further the relationship, do these things. Visit your vendors overseas. They will appreciate your visit. And before you go, understand the culture, the politics, history, and customs of your customers. For my first trip to Japan, I hunted for product that I could, or gifts that I could bring them that would be appropriate. The most important thing that they liked was the Johnny Walker Blue bottle of scotch that I brought. They will want to take you out to dinner. They will want to take you sightseeing if you have time, accept their hospitality, but don't, under any circumstances, accept a bribe. It is a very slippery slope when you do that. Next slide, please. You must be certain that any prospective vendor have the capacity to meet your quality and quantity requirements. That is why you want to visit. Your company needs to put together a team that can evaluate the prospective vendors and their ability to make the product at the quality level that your customers require. Overseas trips are very expensive, but it's better than a vendor accepting an order and struggling to fill it, or the items arriving that don't meet your quality and quantity standards. You can't inspect quality in. So once it ships from the factory, you're going to own it, and you're going to have to deal with it on the other side. That's expensive. Once it hits a US port, and if it's wrong, it's too late. And you know what's next. This is the cost of quality. Next slide, please. I'm going to set your expectations. Help your team understand that this is a process that takes time. You're going to have to front money, most likely. So you're going to have to put a deposit down, especially when you are just getting started with someone. So make sure you've got money set aside for this project. Letters of credit are also expensive. And just in case of emergency, for your first or second order, do you have enough inventory before your first shipment arrives? As a CFO, you have to help your team understand the costs. Are they quoting FOB, which is freight on board, which means the title passes on the other side and you're responsible for bringing it in? Can you get a customs insurance and freight quote or landed duty paid? Get both costs from any vendor and figure out which one is cheaper. Prepare your team for things to go wrong. Things never go right the first time. Next slide, please. You need a freight forwarder. It's a really pretty picture. Next slide, please. You need 2 kinds of professionals. You need a freight forwarder, someone who books your container on the ship, someone who handles the documentation with customs, someone who will consolidate orders from different vendors if you need it, and someone who will try to get you the best ocean freight rate. And I think Danny said it before, there's no such thing as a good ocean freight rate right now. You'll also need a customs broker. Get the best one you can afford. They will pay for themselves if they get you the right tariff classification on your item. They'll clear your order with customs. They will expedite your order if that's possible, if there are not 21 boats in the Long Beach Harbor waiting to come in. And they will collect duty payments from you and remit them for you. Next slide, please. So just a reminder, part of the CFO's job is risk management. Never let your team enter into one of these relationships without backup. Is there a backup for your chosen overseas supplier? Do you have a backup? So here are a few secrets. Do your overseas vendors manufacture all of the components themselves? They probably don't. Do they have all the needed equipment to make your product? Probably not. But they will claim to have a turnkey operation. And if you're dealing in Asia, they like to save face. And they also outsource, because sometimes if you're asking them to make a complex product, they might have to buy components from several different vendors. Next slide, please. So here are the overseas fundamentals again. Let me summarize this for you. The cost of quality requires investment. It requires time, money, and developing of standards. If your company, your clients, your team want to improve gross margins and ultimately net income, understand that overseas sourcing is challenging. When you find the right partner, they will deliver the appropriate quality product. Get the best professionals that you can afford. Understand that everything takes longer, even longer than you think it does, and that sourcing requires long-term investment. Next slide, please. Here's a little about me. I have been doing this, this says I've been doing this for 20, 30 years. Seems like a long time. So if you want more about what we're talking about, let me or Gershon or Bob or Haley know if you need more advice in this area. Next slide. Thank you. And we will now slide into our Q&A session.
All righty. Excuse me. Thank you all. Thanks to all our speakers. A lot of very interesting things to absorb over here. So anyone have questions? You can call out, drop them in the chat, and I'll read them out to the speakers. You can direct them to everyone, to anyone in particular. All right, so if no one has any questions, Buddy, how does someone decide if they should source overseas or try to manufacture domestically? So Danny was talking about how, I think Danny was talking about how, you know, these days we potentially have some manufacturing moving back here. How, other than total cost, are there other things that you would consider, like more qualitative factors, let's say?
Well, the most important thing is knowing where your products are actually manufactured. So there are some industries that do not have a domestic presence at all. So if you want to buy something overseas, make sure that it's something that you can, and you can't get it domestically. Make sure it's something that you want to buy, that you can buy overseas, that is something that they make very, very well. For example, if you need 20 million of a certain kind of screw, they're only making that in Taiwan at the quality level that at least I used to buy. So you have to make sure that what you're buying is something that they can make and that they already do make. The domestic markets have been ravaged over the last 30 years by people moving to, to Turkey and to Spain and to lower cost countries. And it's going to take a long time for manufacturing at the scale that we need to move back domestically. So you're really looking for the best place to buy it.
Mhm. Okay. Is it ever worth setting up your own manufacturing here? Like if you need a product, is it ever, or how would you approach that in terms of building it from scratch on our end, as opposed to outsourcing to a domestic or foreign manufacturer?
The most important thing is raw material and closeness to your customers. So if you're able to get your raw materials and you have good transportation, a centrally located factory to where some of your key customers' distribution is going to be, will still work out. But it's all about the raw material, because there are certain raw materials that can't get to the right place because of where they're made. So the first thing is, where's your raw material getting made?
Now, do you view let's say you could get raw material, would you view operating your own factory as being, and by the way, if anyone else has questions, you're all welcome to chime in, but would you view manufacturing, no, forget my question. If you had access to the raw material, would you view manufacturing your own stuff as a risk because of the fixed overhead? Say you need to buy machinery and you need factories, or would you jump into that and say, we'll make it up on volume? Because eventually, in theory, you will.
Manufacturing is a heavy fixed asset business. It costs a lot of money to get started, and it takes a long time to earn a profit in a manufacturing environment. That said, once your manufacturing facilities are up and running and they're efficient and they're well run, manufacturing can be incredibly lucrative. So after you've determined what the appropriate break even is, you can figure out whether it makes sense to make it in the States or make it overseas someplace, or to have a third party make it. You can even operate your own factory in another geographic location other than the United States. But you have to have a lot of patience and a lot of zest for risk to open a factory these days.
Got it. Now, this next question is for you and potentially Aris, if he's here. I know he asked for the link.
He's there. He's here.
He's there. All right.
I'm here. I'm hiding as Haley.
Oh, okay. So this is really for, I think, the two of you. By the way, everyone, Aris is one of our other CFOs, and he's got a background in hospitality and retail. And so I'm curious, suppose you're a retailer or a distributor. So you'd be the retailer, Buddy would be the distributor, and you are considering producing product. How do your competitors look at that? How do the other retailers and other distributors look at the fact that you're a retailer who's producing product? Are they going to be nervous? So like Aris, when you were running your retail chain, would you have been reticent to buy product produced by a competitor, or with other people have not wanted to buy product produced, let's say you were manufacturing something? And I guess the question is really for you and Buddy, because I think you're both in this kind of distribution mode. For you, it was distributing as retail, but are other people in that space going to be nervous to get involved if you become vertically integrated like that?
Buddy, I can take a shot at it first.
Go.
I think it's more about inventory management and what your stock levels look like. So if you're manufacturing the product, I think you're going to be first in line to get it in your distribution center. Whereas if you're dependent on someone else that's making it, all the things that the three gentlemen talked about are risks in the operation. And when you look at this business, to me, it's metric driven, especially the warehouse piece. So if the software that we talked about can improve your, say, days to stock, days to pick, days to ship, all those things add a little bit of incremental value to be able to get the product in in your system, picked quicker and out faster, which is basically return on investment that I think Dave was talking about, and drive value to the bottom line.
But with other retailers being nervous to buy from you because of what you pointed out is your natural advantage. Let's say you were running a luxury retail chain. Let's say you manufacture jewelry. With other luxury retail chains being nervous to buy from you because push comes to shove, you're going to get the inventory first. You're going to get it quicker. If anything, if there's a shortage, if there's any fights, you hold all the cards. Would they potentially, like, let's say you had the opportunity to buy a manufacturing brand or to start something where in theory there was a market for it, would other people in the space in the distribution and be nervous to buy from you? Or would you have been nervous to buy jewelry from another, vertically integrated manufacturer?
I think it depends on the distribution channel. So what my retail was cruise ship retail. So we bought directly from a manufacturer that also had retail outlets, but it's a different distribution channel. So to the extent that someone's on a cruise ship and wants to buy, a Tommy Bahama shirt, they could go get it at a Tommy Bahama store, but it's more about the impulse buy through the distribution channel. So to answer your question, I'd say it depends on a lot of different factors, the variables, the price, the availability, and the outlet in which you're selling it. They're all functions that make the decision on whether to buy and if you're hesitant to buy.
Got it. So for you, you held all the cards of the people who were going to make impulse buys on cruise ships.
Yeah,
So it
exactly.
wasn't a real risk for Tommy Bahama, let's say, to sell to you, even though they have their retail stores, because they didn't have those customers.
Right, but and what the vendors would do, the manufacturers, they'd put, limits on what you can buy. They would set the assortment. So sometimes they'd put you in a little box. If you want our goods, these are the terms and conditions. So sometimes you have to make the tough call. Do I have to take all of the inventory and I have to pay for it? And then it's my risk whether I can sell it and at what gross margin I can sell it at. So a lot of different factors, and it's negotiation with each vendor.
Got it. Thank you. Whether you want to chime in or should we?
Well, I just think that I was thinking about Eris's world. Luxury retail generally controls some of their own manufacturing, but that doesn't stop a Louis Vuitton bag from being sold at Neiman Marcus and at a Louis Vuitton store. But that doesn't, and it is all about location. When I was in retail and when I was in distribution, very rarely did a manufacturer also have their own store. But I guess in paint, when I was in industrial distribution, paint manufacturers, Sherwin-Williams sold to the Ace and True Values and all that stuff, but they also had their own stores. They just have different brands. I think everybody's looking for price value as a retailer.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, you had like a travel bag or something.
Yeah.
Right. So suppose you had opened a store, would that have hurt the rest of your district? Let's say you had opened an outlet store or not an outlet store. You were in Chicago at some point. I don't know.
Yep, we were.
Right. So you opened something, at the hotel near O'Hare. Right. So you open a store there and now people are coming there to buy stuff, or you opened a chain where you sold high quality bags. Would that have hurt, your sales to Sears or whoever else was buying your stuff?
Probably not, because the scale was so different. So if you're selling, Walmart and Sam's, they're going to be, if they are going to match the retail marketplace, they're going to be 43% of your sales. And Target's going to be another 20-something% of your sales, and grocery store and drug are going to be another 15% of your sales. So it's highly unlikely that it would cannibalize too much. But if you're going to go retail like that, you better have something really special. It should be more like a showroom than it would be a real retail store, and it would be such a very small quantity at least in the bag business that we were in. TJ Maxx can sell a lot more Lucas bags than we could have sold at an airport store.
Got it. I just saw something for those of you from New York. We probably have plenty of people. There's a beautiful new M&M store in the big new mall in New Jersey. The mall, I think Mall of America, whatever it's called. Dream something, whatever. It's basically a mall run by, I think, the people who run the largest mall in America, which is probably Minneapolis, if I recall correctly.
About 6 miles from here,
Right.
where I'm sitting.
So this other, all right, we got a question. I'll say that in a second. Yeah. So anyway, they just, to Buddy's point, they opened this beautiful M&M store. They, at some point, I don't know if they still do, they had one in Times Square. So it's those stores, from what I understand, are more, trophy properties to kind of show people what you're about. It's more advertise M&Ms than to actually sell them. There's no way
It's a showroom.
per square foot there. All right, now we're getting to the fun stuff. We just got a question in. Can we discuss gray market goods? And that I think at least both of you can talk about, and Danny and John as well. But you and Aris both dealt with selling goods and jewelry. I think that's a big gray market from what I hear. So
I'll let Aris lead off on that. I have some comments, but I think he's got the most experience there.
Oh, and
Yeah,
diverted.
this is-
1 second. Let me just add on. This person wrote in and diverted goods. I don't even know what that is, but take it away, Aris.
So the types of brands that we were dealing with were the high-end brands. And if you even thought about stepping in that space, you would get cut out by the brand straight away. So the terms and conditions were very restrictive on that. So as a frontline retailer for, say, Tag Heuer or Omega, the watch world has the gray market goods that go in maybe through South America and then make it back to the United States. We had to be very, very careful with that. So that's a space that we didn't go down at all, because we didn't want to risk or jeopardize the relationship with the end vendor. But there is a market for that, not necessarily on cruise ships, maybe in the ports that the cruise ships stop. So that was one of the competing factors. And the gray market obviously doesn't have the warranty or the guarantee. Does it have? It might come through a third party. So I'm sure there are instances where there's a lot of gray market goods, but in my space, we never really played in that sandbox.
Yeah, from a mass market perspective, which is where I come from, there wasn't much of a need for that because we would sell anybody. But just to sort of define the gray market, that is where goods that you're not allowed to buy as a retailer direct because you don't meet the terms and conditions of the manufacturer, or you're not authorized in some way, you manage to find a way to buy them from a distributor who has purchased them in some other way. Sometimes it's legal what they've bought, sometimes it's not. So a gray market good is something that a retailer might get that they are not supposed to get. And a diverted good, I guess, Aris, you might be able to help me with this, but I'd sort of call it a fall off the truck kind of situation.
Yeah, I really never heard that term, but it's probably something like that.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if it's something that is out of style, or it's, the last 10% of a fashion from last year, but it sounds more ominous to me than, a bad buy or a bad production. But I guess that's what eBay's for, right? Diverted
Yeah,
goods?
you can buy a lot of gray market goods on eBay.
Yeah.
And those kind of places, they definitely,
No
if
question.
you don't want to pay department store prices, you can find what you want.
Yeah.
But Danny or John, do either of you have any thoughts on this? Thoughts on the gray market? Danny, does your software deal with this kind of stuff? Are there different classifications, or maybe some people that the software would let you sell to, and others where you can say, send these people the regular stuff? Or
No, the software basically controls the inventory. We don't care if it's a gray good or manufactured good. It's more of the having accurate inventory. And in today's market, it's become a crucial situation, knowing what your inventory is, who to buy from and who to distribute it from.
Got it.
Don't play in the space of the retail. The only way we play in the retail space is we have a retail, the company represent have a retail module, the interface with the manufacturing distribution.
Mhm.
So manufacturer or distributor can open a retail store in the shopping mall, and items that don't move or excess inventory is being sold there. Every store is being traded by the computer as a warehouse, and every shelf is a location, and
Got it.
they cannot change the price. It's dominated by the computer.
So like a outlet store, like Woodbury Common,
Exactly what
or
it is, but every outlet store is considered as a warehouse, and every shelf is considered a location, and then the computer reallocates, replenish when the inventory goes down.
So what happens, Gershon, is now there's a new, in the e-commerce world, what's happened is, 25% of all the goods that are shipped to women come back, shoes, clothing. So a lot of warehouses, it's a new thing, they have to deal with returns. So a lot of them, what they do is they'll bring in high-end goods, but they don't want to repackage it, so they'll send it to outlets. And there are certain e-commerce like Gilt. We did a job for a company called Gilt. They put everything up, high-end products for 72 hours, and you have to buy it then or else it's gone. It's all impulse buying, and that's a new thing. But as far as the gray market or things, one of the things I've done work for David Yurman. I've done work for Movado, and those places, such high security, watching what goes on there. It's incredible. We put a conveyor system in at David Yurman. You have to go through a lot of security checks to get in there.
that
So,
place
but,
like it's like should be like a vault of gold. No, isn't
right,
it?
exactly.
Fort Knox. Cool. And so did they use their difference in the type of systems once you get past all the security? Does jewelry take different type of conveyors? It's like much more fragile stuff than.
Yeah, well, what they'll use is more vertical storage that it almost looks like a pizza oven that rotates, that they can store and they can lock it down at night, and everything is enclosed in that, as opposed to having open shelving in a warehouse kind of thing. So that's what you saw. Movado did a lot of that, and Yurman the same thing. But Yurman actually manufactures in New York and distributes from the same place.
Cool. Maybe you and Eris should have a conversation.
Sure.
Yeah, I would
sounds
love
like
to.
Yeah.
Eris is probably buying from a lot of these people that you're dealing with.
Right.
Prior life.
We stored stuff in a high value area, which was basically a safe, a big vault. So people going in there, like John said, you have to take all your watches and jewelry off, and you'd have to go in and segregate it in different areas. And it was usually a onesies and twosies pick, because you're not gonna go pick 15 Omega watches and put it on one ship. So usually a smaller pick.
Got it. All righty. Any final questions? Going once, going twice. All righty. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you to our guests, Danny and John, and thank you to our CFOs who participated, Buddy who spoke, and Eris who participated in the Q&A. Thank you to Haley for setting everything up, and thank you to Bob for being here, even though I didn't bring you into this conversation. But you could have jumped in, of course. Anyway, thank you all for joining us. It was great to see you, and stay in touch.
Have a great day.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.